From the News Channel 3 newsroom, this is Your Vote 2020.
It's Your Vote 2020. We are just minutes away from seeing the first results in our local elections. We are expecting those numbers around 8:30.
We have live team Your Vote 2020 coverage right now. News Channel 3's Caitlin Thrope leads us off tonight from the registrar's office in Riverside. And Caitlin, how's it looking over there right now? I know that they had hundreds of thousands of ballots this morning.
Right, a lot of hard-working people here at the registrar's office. Working even harder and even faster are these machines, these high-powered machines. Right now, they're taking a little break. They're actually getting cleaned, dusted right now. Riverside County has 10 of these machines. What's interesting is they're able to process up to 150 ballots per minute. It's the first major election they're being used in. Here with me is Brooke Federico, a spokesperson for Riverside County. Brooke, how confident are you in these machines?
Caitlin, the short answer is very confident. We do regular testing of these machines before every election for accuracy and logic testing.
And after the machines count the ballots, where do the ballots go?
They're actually stored here on site for 22 months after every election at the Registrar of Voters office.
Just in case there's a recount, right?
That's right. If there's any potential recount where we would need to review them, they are here on site.
Good information there. And we have our first release of the numbers coming out at about 8:30 tonight. So that's really exciting. You're going to want to stay with us right here on News Channel 3 for that.
And Caitlin, what votes will be included in this first release of numbers? We know that so many people, a record number, voted early, so these first results could really include a lot of ballots.
Right, so the first release of numbers will include mail-in ballots received up until Sunday and in-person ballots received up until Monday. That will be included in the number coming out around 8:30.
Okay,
thanks so much. Back to you, John.
Get us off to a big start.
Heck yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin. Voter assistance centers in Riverside County now officially closed.
That's right. News Channel 3's Jake Ingracia joins us live tonight from the Palm Desert Community Center. What's the scene like there, Jake? I understand there are still people in line to vote.
Yeah, John and Karen, those polls may be closed, but take a look behind me right now. There are still dozens of people casting their ballots here at the community center in Palm Desert. Dozens of people were in line when the polls closed right at 8 o'clock, so they will still all be allowed to make their votes count. Now, all day here, there was a steady stream of people coming in since the polls opened at 7 o'clock this morning. Hundreds of people waiting until the day of the election to cast their ballots either in person or by dropping them off. Poll workers here say that things have been smooth sailing through all 4 days of in-person voting this election, and it's one in which people were extremely anxious to make their voices heard.
I do think it's more important to save America. Feels like some people think this is the end of America if somebody doesn't win.
We need to support democracy, and we do that by voting.
I have 3 boys, and I have to think about their future. So, I had to really sit down and analyze what is best for our country and what is best for them as they grow up, and we had to make the decision, and we decided, if we don't vote, we can't complain, right?
And with concerns sparking of potential violence or even voter intimidation at the polls, poll workers say that they were trained in de-escalation tactics or instructed to isolate any potential disturbances. John?
And Jake, did you see any problems with that? Were there any last-minute efforts on campaigning or demonstrations going on outside that voter assistance center?
John, there were some peaceful demonstrators all day here outside of the community center in Palm Desert, well outside of that 100-foot barrier that they need to be outside of. And honestly, like I said, things were very peaceful here all day.
That's great news. Thank you so much, Jake. Well, we continue to keep a close eye on the mayoral races here in the Valley. The city of Coachella has 2 candidates vying for your vote.
News Channel 3's Danny Ramiro following the mayor's race in this one in Coachella. Danny, how's it going?
Karen and John, these past couple of weeks, we've caught up with both candidates, current serving Mayor Steven Hernandez and his challenger, Leslie Figueroa. Here's what they have to say about what they hope to bring to the city.
You've seen changes in our libraries, you've seen changes in our infrastructure. They happen because we have the right leadership.
You just have to be able to work with community members and really look at the resources that exist right now and be creative.
And we will see what the results say.
Well, Danny, thank you. That's not the only mayoral race that we're watching tonight, though, right?
No, that's right. There are 2 other cities that we're keeping a close eye on. In Desert Hot Springs, incumbent Mayor Scott Mattis is being challenged by Adam Sanchez. Mattis has held office since 2015, and he wants to focus on public safety, producing more jobs in the city, and bringing tax dollars into the city and expand retail businesses. His opponent, Sanchez, has another goal in mind. He hopes to reduce taxes for the cannabis industry to bring more investors into the city and bring more jobs and retail to DHS. Then in La Quinta, Mayor Evans is facing challenger businessman Robert Silk. Evans has been in office for 6 years plus 5 years on council before that. She wants to continue the city's efforts in their economic recovery and find a solution for short-term vacation rentals and continue the progress on Silver Rock development. Her challenger, Robert Silk, a veteran businessman, says it's time to get some new blood in City Hall. His top priority is also the city's economic recovery and finding a game plan for short-term rentals. And so we'll have to see what the results say tonight. Reporting live, Danny Romero, News Channel 3.
Okay, thank you, Danny. And another race to be on the lookout for tonight is this one in Palm Springs City Council District 4. Current Mayor Pro Tem Christy Holstedge is seeking re-election and could become the first female mayor in Palm Springs if she wins. Now, she's facing off against former Palm Springs Councilmember Mike McCullough and small business owner Diane Torres.
And the District 5 race is more of a formality, with Councilmember Lisa Middleton seeking a second term unopposed. Lisa Middleton seeking this second term representing the southwest part of the city. In
Cathedral City, the District 1 race covers communities in the Cathedral City Cove, parts of Cathedral Canyon Country Club, and Cimarron Cove. Current Councilmember Rita Lamb facing off against challenger Alan Carvalho, who is the chair of the Cathedral City Public Arts Commission.
And District 2 of Cathedral City is the last district not to have its own representative. It's currently represented by Mayor John Aguilar, who is not seeking re-election. Nancy Ross and J.R. Corrales are vying for that seat. They are both small business owners.
And Danny already told us about the mayor's race in Coachella. The top two candidates will win a spot on the Coachella City Council in this race. Current council member Philip Batista and current Mayor Pro Tem Emmanuel Martinez running for re-election. They're facing off against Denise Delgado and Naftali Garcia, who are both teachers.
Meantime, in Desert Hot Springs, 7 candidates are vying for a spot on the city council, with the top 2 winners getting that seat. The incumbents are Russell Betts and Robert Griffith. They're facing off against Stephen Gibney, Jessica Gilbert, Jonathan Laura, Jason Moore, and Roger Nunez. You can find a full list of the local city council races on our website, KESQ.com. Well, in 2016, President Donald Trump won the election. In California, the then Democratic presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, won the state's 55 electoral votes.
And you can see on this map Riverside County in purple, meaning there was less than half of the votes for both the Democratic and Republican nominee in 2016, 49.6% of residents voting for Hillary Clinton and 45.3% for Donald Trump. The key battleground states remain too close to call at this point. Both candidates have already claimed several victories tonight. And of course, Peter's going to have much more on that.
He's going to just now. News Channel 3's Peter Dowd. He's joining us live from our Election Update Center with more on the race to the White House. And Peter, this is constantly changing, but what is it looking like so far tonight?
Boy, we keep getting results every minute, John and Karen. Right now, a huge jump for Joe Biden. Updated just moments ago, the Associated Press calling California, Washington, and Oregon for Biden. He now has more than 200 electoral votes secured. President Trump, meanwhile, has just secured more than 112, and he recently won Idaho. Remember, 270 electoral votes are needed to claim victory in the race for presidency, and both candidates are now watching the results with great anticipation.
I'm superstitious about predicting what an outcome is going to be, but I'm hopeful. We're going to have a great night. We're going to have a great night, and we're going to have, much more importantly, we're going to have a great 4 years.
The president is watching the returns from the White House, where he is expected to deliver remarks later tonight. Meanwhile, Biden is watching the returns at home with family in Delaware. John and Karen?
Okay, Peter, what are some of the key states that you're watching out for right now?
Well, certainly Florida, which now appears to be a Trump victory. Pennsylvania, another key state. We're probably not going to get results from that anytime soon because they start processing those mail-in ballots the morning of Election Day. Another important state, Michigan, you can see on our map right now, and also Iowa. These are all in gray still, but the red states have been confirmed for Trump. The blue states, as you can see now, for Biden. If we look at Florida, again, big important state here, 29 electoral votes. That is trending towards President Trump. And it could lean more towards the president, as early voting was expected to lean towards Biden. Another crucial state, we can't forget Pennsylvania. This is leading so far. It looks like Biden, but of course there are plenty of votes still to be counted. As I mentioned earlier, they still have to go through all of those mail-in ballots. They just started that this morning. That is 20 electoral votes up for grabs. And this was a state that Trump won in 2016 by about 1%. Also, want to mention Michigan. That is very important. President Trump leading the way. That race still a little too close to call right now. Of course, again, we keep mentioning this, but some states, also Wisconsin, Michigan as well, they're trying to get all of these mail-in ballots processed, so could be a very long night, John and Karen.
And just for the record, in the newsroom today, I thought it might go a little bit earlier this time than 2016, and Peter said, I think it's going to be a long, long night. Right now,
I was right.
Our Your Vote 2020 coverage continues. California voters are deciding a total of 12 propositions on the ballot tonight.
News Channel 3's Tom Tucker has been covering the campaigns for all 12 of these propositions, an even dozen of them. He's live in the newsroom with more on some of the high-profile measures this time out. Tom.
Well, John and Karen, with 12 propositions on the ballot, voters had a lot to sift through before making their final decisions. And the total money raised to support or fight against these propositions in this election cycle is a record $650 million. So there's a lot riding on these propositions.
Well, Tom, Prop 15 is one that could certainly impact businesses here in California.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, Karen. If approved by voters, it would allow counties to tax commercial and industrial properties based on a property's current market value rather than the value at the time of purchase. That's for properties valued at more than $3 million. So if 15 passes, the tax revenues collected could range from $6.5 billion to $11.5 billion in funding for schools and local governments.
Okay, Tom, how about Prop 16, once again dealing with affirmative action in California?
Correct, John. Prop 16, if approved, would repeal Proposition 209 approved by California voters back in 1996, which banned affirmative action in California. Now, if 16 passes, diversity could then be considered in California for admission into colleges and universities, hiring at public agencies, and for public contracts. Such things as race, gender, and nationality would be considered.
And Prop 22 broke records in terms of the spending on the campaign behind it, right?
That's right, Karen. Uber and Lyft and some of the smaller tech companies have put in more than $200 million into the campaign to get Prop 22 passed. If approved, it would allow app-based drivers and app-based delivery providers for services like DoorDash and Postmates and Uber and Lyft to be classified as independent contractors and would set specific wage and labor policies for those companies and those contractors. Now, we're keeping a close eye on the returns on all the propositions, and we will keep you updated throughout the night. Live in the newsroom, Tom Tucker, News Channel 3.
All right, thank you, Tom, as always. And as mentioned, there are a handful of other propositions on the ballot dealing with issues ranging from voting rights to rent control. A yes vote on Proposition 17 supports a constitutional amendment to allow people on parole with felony convictions to vote. Proposition 18 is also a constitutional amendment which, if approved, would allow 17-year-olds to vote in California primary elections and in special elections if they turn 18 by the time of the following general election.
And then there's Prop 21, which would allow local governments to enact rent control on residential properties. We'll be watching all of the propositions and keep you posted throughout the night on the air and online as well at KESQ.com. Those first results expected to start coming in very, very soon.
Now, before ballots can be counted, they must be processed.
Because every California voter received a mail-in ballot this year, processing those ballots was allowed to begin 7 business days before Election Day. County officials were allowed to verify your signature and move the ballot into their vote counting system. To learn more about the voting process and how it's working this time in this pandemic world, you can check out our election interactives under our Your Vote section on our website.
Tonight, Valley Republicans are holding a watch party at Agua Caliente Casino in Rancho Mirage.
You're looking live at that party right now, with many awaiting the results of the presidential election. California, of course, projected right away at 8 o'clock by all the major news organizations for Joe Biden. They'll also be watching some of the local races as well. News Channel 3's Shelby Nelson live with reaction from Valley Republicans so far on this election night. Shelby.
Well, John, a very lively group there at Agua Caliente and Rancho Mirage. Many people watching a big screen to see those numbers trickle in for President Trump and Democratic candidate Joe Biden. Now, I did speak earlier with Joy Medicki, who is the president of the East Valley Republican Women. She tells me so far the results are a little confusing. It's hard to decipher what's exactly happening, but so far they are happy to see what they're seeing.
You know, again, it's confusing, but I think we're really, really happy with what's happening so far. I think it's all good, and I think we're going to really take this. I'm sorry, I just have to tell you, I have been working, and I've seen the people, I've talked to the people, I know what it's all about, and I can tell you that everyone loves Trump.
Now, of course, it's too early to determine who is going to win, but many people still anxiously watching to see what those results will be. For now, live, Shelby Nelson, News Channel 3.
Thank you, Shelby.
Well, one of the races to watch tonight will be the 42nd District Assembly District.
Incumbent and independent now, Chad Mays, who was a former Republican, being challenged by Republican Andrew Kotyuk. They faced off back in 2018. Kotyuk lost that time to Chad Mays, but that time was in a primary, and they were both Republican.
And for the 56th State Assembly District race, incumbent Eduardo Garcia facing off against Republican America Figueroa. This district represents cities and unincorporated communities in eastern Riverside County and Imperial County as well.
Now, along with the battle for the presidency, control over the House and Senate. Tonight, Republicans are defending 23 Senate seats, while Democrats are defending 12 of them.
Before the election, Republicans held 53 seats as Democrats held 47. News Channel 3's Peter Doubt joins us now live from our Election Update Center with the latest on this race. Peter.
Karen, it will take either 3 or 4 seats to determine party control depending on who wins the presidency, as the vice president can break a tie. So far, 2 major allies close to the president, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, have won their re-election bids, but several seats are still up for grabs. Locally, we're keeping a close eye on the 36th congressional district race between Democratic incumbent Raul Ruiz and Republican challenger Aaron Cruz. We're still awaiting results as the night progresses, as polls have closed here in Riverside County. Starting at 10 p.m., the results will include ballots from our voter assistance centers. This district represents the Coachella Valley and also includes Banning and Beaumont.
Well, Peter, has there been any major upsets at this point?
Yeah, Karen, there's actually been one upset in the state of Colorado. John Hickenlooper has claimed victory and defeated Cory Gardner, a close ally to the president. That flips a crucial seat for Democrats in their bid to take full control of Congress. Democrats are expected to hold control of the House, but if Democrats win both the Senate and the presidency, it would be the first time since 2010 they would control all 3 chambers. So a lot on the line right now. From the Election Center, Peter Doubt, News Channel 3.
Yeah, a lot on the line and a lot still undecided.
Absolutely.
Ways to go. Thank you, Peter.
It's Your Vote 2020. We are awaiting the first results from the Riverside Registrar's Office for our local races.
And we're expecting those any minute now. We'll be bringing them to you as soon as we get them. News Channel 3's Caitlin Thrope is live now at the Registrar's Office in Riverside County with a look at how the counting is going. Caitlin, any updates on when they may be releasing that first batch of results?
Still waiting. It'll be around 8:30, and we will bring you that as soon as we get it. But right now, we are here in the warehouse where signature verification happens, and then also all these boxes are filled with ballots. This is where ballots will stay for a while. And with me is Brooke Federico, a spokesperson for Riverside County. Brooke, how many ballots were issued in Riverside County?
For this presidential general election, 1.2 million ballots were issued.
And how many were received?
As of yesterday, the total number that we've received is 645,000, and that's about 52%. So again, that's up to yesterday. It's not counting today's results.
And when do you think we will have all the ballots counted?
So the total number of ballots will continue to be counted throughout the next 30 days before certification on December 3rd. Of course, we'll have most of those up on our website throughout the evening.
All right, thanks, Brooke. And John, back to you.
Now, Caitlin, I hear you have some interesting facts from the registrar's office. Can you share those with us? Just some nice fun facts for us.
Yeah, just some fun facts for you. In 2016, in the presidential election in Riverside County, it's interesting, 75% of registered voters turned out to vote, and 65% of those voters voted by mail. 44% of them voted for President Trump. So there's some fun facts for you. Reporting live in Riverside, I'm Caitlin Thrope, News Channel 3.
Yeah, vote by mail is nothing new here. In fact, a lot of people, as you just said, were doing it already, but this time it was expanded that everyone had the option.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin.
Everybody got a ballot. Well, our Your Vote 2020 coverage continues tonight.
Up to the minute developments after the break. You're watching the Desert's news leader. Wrapping up our national outlook of Your Vote 2020, polls have now closed in most of the country as we wait for ballots to be processed and counted.
News Channel 3's Peter Dow back again, joining us for more from our Election Update Center, and has a recap of what we've seen so far. Peter.
John and Karen, we're keeping an eye out on several key battleground states that remain too close to call. We may not know the result of these battleground states tonight. Some of the states that we continue to follow include Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. As more votes get counted, we've seen these states actually flip between the two candidates. And right now in Florida, the president continues to hold a lead, which would garner him 29 electoral votes. And in Pennsylvania, 20 electoral votes are up for grabs, with control flipping between both candidates. Other key states we are watching include Nevada, Iowa, and of course, Arizona. And moving into the battle for control of Congress, Republicans are trying to defend as many seats as they can, but already at least one upset win for Democrats. In Colorado, John Hickenlooper has defeated incumbent Cory Gardner. This was a major upset, but Democrats will need to flip at least 3 more seats to secure control of Congress. But 2 key allies of the president, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky and Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, have won their re-election bids. This continues to be a very close race to the White House and the Senate. We'll continue to give you the latest updates. Live from the Election Center, Peter Dow, News Channel 3.
There'll be a razor-thin margin in the Senate, whatever party gets control. Thank you, Peter.
All right, and thank you for making News Channel 3 your choice for news.
Your Vote 2020 coverage continues all night long. We'll be bringing you updates throughout the night. Also, News Channel 3 first at 10 on Fox 11 and at 11 on KESQ and CBS Local 2.